Hello everyone, I'm Bad Pan, the man who loves dancing at 3 a.m. This video is actually part 2 on how to grab, drop, and throw objects in Unity like Freeze to Fathom. In this video, we'll cover how to drop an object inside a specific location to trigger a function. Plus, I learned something super useful for the interaction system while working on this, and you'll catch that in this video too. This tutorial is part of a series covering Unity tips and tricks, as well as a separate playlist of videos where we create functions inspired by Freeze to Fathom in Unity. By the way, I've published my own retro horror game called Fractured Psyche. If you're into retro vibes, you can check it out with the link in the description. All the files used and created in this video will be linked down below. With all that being said, let's put on the mask and begin. So you can actually create a 3D cube. As I said in the intro, I want to drop these objects, any of these objects inside this cube, and if it is actually inside this cube, I want a certain function to happen. And you can deactivate this mesh render so you don't see the object. One important thing is when you select this object, you have to go to this box collider. By default it actually has it. If it doesn't, you can just add component box collider here. When box collider is here, you gotta go to this box collider section and click on this is trigger. And now the objects can go inside this, and you can actually use that for this script. So I'm going to select this cube. I want to go to this layer tab, which is up here. Go to add layer. I already added a layer. Go to layers tab, not sorting layers or rendering layers. Just go to layers tab. You can add one. I named it ignore raycast. The capital and the small versions of the letter are also added here, so be careful. I want to give this layer to this cube, so we cannot interact with this cube, and anything inside this cube will be interacted with. Select the cube we created. I'm going to rename it to cube trigger, and I'm going to go to this layer tab, click on this layer and give it the ignore raycast layer. Now we need a new script that we can give to this cube, which is going to check if these three are actually inside the cube, and if they are, it's going to do a certain action. That is very easy to do. So we're going to create a new C# script. I'm going to call it Freeze to Fathom TAT, take and throw, cube trigger. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it this. Double click to open it up. Inside your script, we don't need the void update and void start. We can just delete it. There's a function inside Unity that actually checks if anything entered this object's collider. And it is called void on trigger enter. And you click on it, it writes it automatically. If you don't have it, you're gonna write this, and it's gonna take a collider called other. So it's gonna check if anything comes inside this cube. If it does, it's gonna do some action. But we don't want the function to happen whenever anything comes inside this function. For example, player comes inside this cube, we don't want the function to happen. We only want the function to happen if any of these three go inside this cube. We're gonna go here and say if other is actually the collider that it takes that comes inside this cube, that game object dot compare tag. So it's gonna compare if it has a tag of throwable. It actually does have a tag of throwable. So if any of these three cubes comes inside this, we're gonna go ahead and do a certain function. The tag of throwable is what we created in the previous video. If you watched it, if you didn't watch it, you can click on top of your screen right now or get to the link in the description. I highly recommend you guys to watch the previous part because it's actually needed to watch this part. Let me show you the bug first, and then I'm gonna activate it. So now if it actually does this, I'm gonna say debug.log cube is in the cube. If we actually put the cube inside the cube, it's gonna say cube is in the cube. So I'm gonna select my cube trigger. I'm gonna give it the script. I can go ahead and check it out. So as you see, I'm gonna take this object and I go here. Even if it is in my hand, it's gonna show cube is in the cube. As you see, it says 1, and if I put it inside it again, it's gonna say 2. So even if the cube is inside my hand, it's gonna write cube is in the cube. I don't want this to happen. I want it to only happen when I drop the object or throw the object inside this cube. So to do that, we need a reference to our take and throw YouTube script we created in the previous video. So I'm just gonna get a reference to that. I'm just gonna say public Freeze to Fathom take and throw YouTube script. I'm gonna call it take script. Maybe you can name it whatever you want, and it's gonna take a reference from that. And we have to go inside that script, the script we created before. I'm gonna add part 2. So you guys know these parts have been added in part 2. We need a public boolean, which is gonna actually say if the object is inside our hand or not. So we're just gonna say public boolean. I'm gonna say hand is full, which is equal to false because we don't have anything in our hand by default. And I'm gonna create the function for it. So when we take the object, we want the hand is full to say true. When we take the object, it is true. I can copy it and go when we drop it, we say hand is full is false because it is dropped. And when we throw it, we say hand is full is equal to false as well. So that is for the hand is full function. We made it public because I want to interact from this script. How to check if we can actually interact with it or not? So we're just gonna say if take script, which is the script we created, dot hand is full equal to false. If our hand is not full and the object is dropped or thrown, we can go ahead and say cube is in the cube. So I'm gonna go to my cube trigger. It needs a take script. You can click on this circle to find your object, or you can even drag and drop your object with the script. You can go ahead and check it out. See, It is in our hand. It doesn't show any message, and when I drop it, it says cube is in the queue. One more bug. The bug it has is you cannot interact with the object when you're outside the cube, because this cube actually comes in the way of us interacting with that object. For example, I'm going to do it with this one as well. So you see, when I come this way, so you guys can actually see it better. Let me deactivate the mesh renderer. So as you see, I cannot interact with it because there's a cube in the way, but when I come here, I can, or come inside the cube, I can take it, but on my side, I cannot take the object. And the reason for it, as I said to you at the start of the video, is because this cube comes in the way of, us interacting with these cubes. Fixing it is actually very simple. As you saw, we created a layer for it called ignore raycast. Fixing it is actually very easy. We're gonna go to our Fears to Fathom, take and throw YouTube. First of all, let me show you what you guys can do. We created the interaction system in the previous video. We actually gave it the ray, we give it the thing it hit, and we give it the distance. There's also another value called the layer mask. As you see, the int layer mask actually takes an int value. That is the layer mask. For example, the default one, the transparent effects one, or anything you want to say. So if you want to interact with the object that has a layer of, for example, transparent effects, you can give it to all of these. For that reason, you have to make a lot of layers. Say specifically, for example, interact with cube, interact with the case, interact with the, for example, anything you want to do. But I want to say, instead of saying interact with this one, and that one, we're just gonna say don't interact with that one. For example, don't interact with these objects. For example, we're gonna exclude them. So instead of saying interact with this object, we're just gonna say don't interact with that object, because the number of these objects that I said are a lot more than the objects we don't want to interact with. I'm gonna put them inside an array. So I'm just gonna say public string. I'm just gonna call it exclude layers, and it actually takes the layer names to exclude. So layer names, and we also need a private integer for layer mask, because it actually needs to take as int value. As you saw, you see, it takes an integer. So inside void start, you're gonna give the layer mask. So layer mask equal to, put the hash here. So it's gonna exclude it. It's gonna say layer mask with the capital version. This one is different from this one. I'll just rename it so you guys so we just don't confuse it. So we're just gonna say layer mask with everything small. So everything is renamed right now. Layer mask dot get mask. What mask do we want to exclude? We want to exclude the exclude layers. And it's going to put the excluded layers inside this layer mask, which we can actually give to our interaction system. So right here, when it needs a layer mask integer, we just give it the layer mask with the small versions. Now it will only interact with these cubes. And even if we put this cube inside this cube, it will actually interact with it no matter the placement of it. Now we're gonna give it the layer mask. We have to go to our script. Inside here, it says excluding layers. I'm gonna put it on 1 because I want to give it only 1 layers. It needs a string. For the string, you're gonna go to your layer tab, add layer. You can copy this naming layer, or you can write it. I'm gonna copy it and paste it here. You can add as many as you want. I just want 1 for it. That is given right now. We can go ahead and check it out. So you see, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna drop it here. Even when I'm outside, you can see it. Let me just deactivate the mesh render. Now I put it inside here. As you see, I can interact with it, even though the cube is in front of me. You see, I cannot see it. So you see, I can interact and I can take it. It doesn't matter if the cube is actually in front of me or actually not. And when you put it inside here, it's gonna actually run a function for it. So that's how to make a use of grab, drop, throw function that we created like Fears to Fathom in Unity. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, a like would be amazing. You can subscribe to see more contents like this. You can tell me anything in the comment section below. I would be very happy to read it. And you can also give me any suggestions you want in the comment section below. And if I can, I will actually cover it. Thank you so much for all your support. Hope all the very best for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.